My friend, you think following the rules keeps you safe. That is a lie. The truth is the rules were never written for you. Practice your English here and learn what school never taught you. Stay until the end. You will hear the one truth Jake wished he knew at 30. This is English Story Studio. We practice English and learn hard life lessons together. Maybe you know a man like Jake. Maybe you are Jake. He was the good student. He listened. He obeyed. He waited his turn. And he felt proud of that. He did well in school. He came on time. He finished his work. He saved his money. He did what adults told him. Step by step, year by year, he believed a simple story. Good people follow rules. Good workers stay loyal. Careful people always become safe. That was the promise. That was the dream. Today, we will walk through Jake's life. First, you will see why obedience felt so clean. Then, you will see the floor disappear under him. After that, you will see the hidden contract beneath the rules. And slowly, you will ask a harder question. Who benefits from your obedience? Let us begin with the first truth. The good student is not safe. He is simply easy to control. Jake grew up in a small apartment in Ohio. His mother worked long shifts at a hospital. His father drove delivery trucks across the city. They told him one message every week. Study hard. Stay out of trouble. Get a stable job. Jake listened carefully. He wanted to make them proud. He did not fight. He did not ask dangerous questions. He kept his head down. He followed the map. At school, teachers loved him. He raised his hand. He did every assignment. He respected deadlines. He never caused problems. Other students laughed at him sometimes. Jake accepted it. He thought pain was the price of discipline. But listen carefully, my friend. Following the rules is not discipline. It is obedience to someone else's plan. That sentence matters. It matters because Jake confused silence with strength. He confused approval with progress. He thought being chosen by the system meant protection. It did not. After school, he got an office job. Nothing special. Just stable. A gray building. A desk near the window. A weak coffee machine in the corner. Jake felt proud on his first day. He wore a clean blue shirt. He arrived 20 minutes early. He shook hands. He smiled. He believed his real life had begun. His manager liked him quickly. Jake never argued. Jake stayed late. Jake said yes to extra tasks. When others complained, Jake stayed calm. When others left at 5, Jake remained. He thought loyalty would be remembered. Stop for a moment. Think about your own life. How many times did you say yes, hoping someone noticed? How many times did you stay quiet, hoping safety would come? Jake opened a savings account. Every month, he moved money into it. Not much, but enough to feel responsible. He did not waste money. He did not take risks. He did not travel far. He called that maturity. His friends changed jobs. Some started small businesses. Some failed. Some looked foolish for a while. Jake watched them and felt superior. He had a plan. They had chaos. Or so he thought. This is the hard part. Quiet pride can feel like wisdom. But quiet pride often hides fear. Jake was not building freedom. He was building a cage with polite habits. Each year looked respectable. A small raise, a few more savings, a better chair, a cleaner apartment, a newer phone, nothing dramatic. That was the point. He believed stable meant smart. He believed careful meant strong. He believed rules were a shield. He never asked who held that shield. He never asked who made the game. Be honest with yourself right now. Were you taught to think? Or were you taught to behave? Jake's family praised him during holidays. You are doing everything right, they said. Keep going, they said. You are a good man. Jake heard those words and relaxed. He thought comfort was proof. But comfort is not peace. Comfort is often delayed pain. At night, Jake sometimes felt empty. Not dramatic pain, just a quiet weight. A low feeling in his chest. He could not name it, so he ignored it. He told himself this was adulthood. Wake up. That voice inside him was not weakness. It was truth trying to speak. You are still here. Good. What comes next is where many lives break open. Most people never see it until it is too late. Jake thought the rules would protect him. He thought obedience would earn stability. He thought the system rewarded loyal people. Then one morning, the floor disappeared. It started with a meeting invite, just a normal email. 10 in the morning. Conference room B. Jake brought his notebook. He thought it was about a new project. 3 people were waiting inside. His manager sat quietly. A woman from Human Resources smiled too carefully. Another man looked at printed papers. Jake felt cold before anyone spoke. The company was restructuring, they said. His role was being removed. This decision was difficult, they said. They thanked him for his years of service. They said it was not personal. Not personal. That is what they said. Jake stared at them. He had never been late. He had never caused trouble. He had given weekends to this place. He had trained new workers. He had fixed problems nobody saw, and now he was a number on a page. I know this is hard to hear, but following the rules is not the same as understanding the game. That day, Jake learned something brutal. The system loves obedience when it needs labor. It forgets obedience when profit changes direction. He walked out with a cardboard box, a framed photo, a coffee mug, 2 pens. That was all. Years of loyalty, reduced to objects he could carry. Losing everything is not failure. It is the moment your real education begins. Jake stood in the parking lot, confused. The sky looked normal. Cars moved normally. People crossed the street normally. But inside him, something broke. A belief died. Ask yourself this question. If doing everything right can still leave you exposed, then what were the rules really for? That is where we will go next. And once you see it, you cannot unsee it. Jake went home early that day. He placed the box on his kitchen table. Then he sat down and stared at nothing. His apartment was silent. Too silent. He opened his laptop. He looked at his bank account. He had savings. That part was true. But the number suddenly felt small. Not useless, just fragile. For years that number had comforted him. It meant he was responsible. It meant he was ahead. It meant he was safe. Now, it meant time. Only time. A few months, maybe. Then what? This is where the real pain begins. Not in the job loss itself, in the death of the story. Jake did not only lose work, he lost the meaning of his effort. He had followed the map exactly. School, job, savings, patience, respect, loyalty. And still the floor disappeared. Most people react badly here. Some become bitter. Some become desperate. Some become desperate. Some run back to the same system. They want a new boss, a new desk, a new badge, but the same old lie. Jake almost did that. He opened job websites that night. He searched for similar roles, similar pay, similar buildings, similar promises. He wanted the old feeling back. He wanted certainty. Stop. Be honest. Was it certainty he wanted, or was it permission to stop thinking? That question stayed with him. It followed him into the next morning. It followed him into the next week. He sent resumes. He updated his profile. He wrote polite messages. He played the game again. But something had changed. Now he could see the fear inside it. Every application felt smaller than before. Every interview felt less honest. He noticed the words employers used: stable environment, growth opportunity, competitive package, strong culture. Jake read those lines differently now. He heard the hidden translation: give us your time. Trust our structure. Depend on us. Then accept the risk alone. That was the shock. Not all at once. Slowly. Painfully. Like waking from a deep sleep. Following the rules is not understanding the game. It is playing without seeing the board. Jake began remembering old moments. Times he ignored because they felt normal. Managers got bonuses during layoffs. Executives made mistakes without losing status. Quiet workers carried the load. Loyal people were praised, then replaced. It had all happened before. He just did not name it. The truth is uncomfortable. But you need to hear it. The system does not reward goodness first. It rewards usefulness first. And usefulness can end overnight. One afternoon, Jake met his friend Marcus. They sat in a cheap diner near the highway. Marcus fixed air conditioners for small businesses. His hands were rough. His voice was calm. He listened without interrupting. Jake told the whole story. The meeting. The box. The silence. The fear. Then he said something strange. I did everything right. Marcus nodded slowly. Then he asked one question. Right for who? Jake looked up. He did not answer. He could not. Right for who? That question split the room open. Right for the company? Right for his parents? Right for his teachers? Right for some old picture of success? But right for Jake? He had never checked. My friend, this matters deeply. A life can look correct from the outside and still betray you from the inside. Jake went quiet after that lunch. He started walking more. No music, no podcasts, just his own thoughts. He walked through neighborhoods he never noticed. Small shops, old houses, broken sidewalks, people carrying groceries home. He saw a barber who owned his chair. He saw a woman selling flowers outside a market. He saw a man repairing phones in a tiny store. None of them looked rich, but they looked awake. Different kind of energy. Different kind of risk. Jake had always judged people by stability. Now he began judging differently. Who has control? Who can adapt? Who can lose one path and still move? That changed everything. The winner is not always the obedient man. The winner is often the man who can see clearly. You are not unlucky. You are uninformed. That is hard to accept because it removes your excuse. If the problem is only bad luck, then you can keep waiting. But if the problem is blindness, then you must learn. Jake began reading things nobody taught him in school. How companies make money. How debt shapes choices. How taxes reward some behaviors, not others. How wages stay fixed while prices rise. How inflation eats quiet savers slowly. How power hides behind polite language. He felt embarrassed at first. How did I not know this? How did nobody explain it? Why did I spend years learning facts, but not learning how the world moves? I understand. Life is not easy. Most people are trained for performance, not perception. They learn to answer questions. They do not learn to question answers. Then Jake found the deeper wound. He had outsourced judgment. Teachers told him what mattered. Managers told him what success meant. Banks told him what safety looked like. News headlines told him what to fear. He accepted all of it. The floor disappeared because the floor was rented. It was never his. Stop for a moment. Think about your own life. Whose voice lives inside your decisions? Who taught you what safe means? And did that definition ever protect you? Now we move deeper. Because job loss was only the beginning. Jake still thought the rules were neutral. He still thought they were simply old and unfair. Soon, he would see something worse. The rules were not broken by accident. They were built with intent. Someone wrote the rules before you were born, and they wrote them for their own benefit. Jake did not discover this in one night. Truth rarely arrives that way. It comes in pieces. One fact, one pattern, one ugly connection at a time. He remembered school first. Sit still. Ask permission. Memorize answers. Do not challenge the lesson too much. Be respectful. Be realistic. Prepare for a job. Prepare for a job, not for ownership, not for negotiation, not for independent thinking, not for reading incentives, just for employment. Then he thought about money. Save your money, they said. Good advice, in part, but nobody explained the full picture. Nobody explained what money loses over time. Nobody explained how assets grow differently. Nobody explained why the game favors people who own. Jake started seeing two educations, the public one and the quiet one. The public one taught obedience. The quiet one taught leverage. Only a few people seem to get both. This is the hard part. The rules are not always direct lies. Sometimes they are partial truths, just enough truth to keep you calm, just enough blindness to keep you useful. Jake was angry now, not loud anger, slow anger, cold anger, the kind that sharpens your eyes. He realized his parents were not the enemy. His teachers were not always evil. Most of them repeated what they were taught. They trusted the same map. They passed it to him with love. That is how systems survive, not only through force, through inheritance. You are not betrayed by one person. You are trapped by a pattern. Jake sat with that for days. Then he asked a harder question. If these rules serve someone, who exactly do they serve? That question is where the real education starts. And in the next part, Jake will pay for every year of comfort, not with money, with something far more brutal. Time. You are still here. Good. What comes next, most people avoid for years. If you understand this, you will never waste life so easily again. Jake kept reading. He kept walking. He kept thinking. And slowly, another truth became impossible to ignore. The biggest price was never money. It was time. He looked back at his 20s first. So many careful years. So many safe choices. So many delayed questions. He had not been lazy. That was not the pain. He had been obedient. Every year felt small while he lived it. One more year at the desk. One more year waiting for promotion. One more year saving a little more. One more year telling himself soon. Soon, I will live better. Soon, I will feel free. But soon is a dangerous word. Soon can steal a decade. Jake opened old photos one night. Birthdays, office parties, weekend dinners, a short trip to Chicago, a selfie in front of his apartment mirror. He looked respectable in every picture. He did not look alive. The cost of safety is not comfort. It is time you can never buy back. He said that sentence aloud. Then he sat in silence, because he knew it was true. Each year he stayed comfortable. He paid, not with dramatic pain, with invisible loss. His curiosity got smaller. His courage got weaker. His imagination got quieter. His standards slowly dropped. That is how comfort wins, not through joy, through slow reduction. Jake started noticing how often he had postponed himself. He wanted to learn sales once, but it felt risky. He wanted to build a small online service once, but it felt uncertain. He wanted to move cities once, but it felt irresponsible. So he waited, and waiting became identity. That is the trap. You are not careful. You are trained to delay your own life. I know this is hard to hear, because delay can look mature. It can sound wise. It can earn praise from fearful people, but a delayed life is still a lost life. Jake met Sarah a week later. They had dated for almost a year before. Now they were just friends. She worked at a bookstore downtown. She always asked direct questions. She looked at him and knew something changed. "You seem different," she said. Jake laughed without humor. "I think I wasted 10 years, he said. Sarah did not comfort him. She did not say, "No, you did your best." Instead, she asked, "What did those years buy you?" Jake tried to answer. A savings account, a resume, a few routines, a good reputation. Then he stopped, because none of it felt enough. Sarah nodded. Then she said something simple. "Safety that makes you smaller is not safety." Jake felt that sentence deeply, because his life had become narrow. He knew his tasks. He knew his budget. He knew his schedule. But he did not know himself. Stop. Be honest. What are you losing by staying where you are? Not just money. Not just comfort. What parts of you are shrinking? That is the real bill. The system does not only take labor. It takes boldness. It takes initiative. It takes the habit of self-trust. And when those are gone, people call you stable. Jake became angry at the word stable. He had used it like a prayer. Now he heard the hidden message. Do not move too much. Do not question too much. Do not dream too far. Do not scare the people around you. Most people skip this step. Do not be. Most people. Count the true cost. Name it clearly. That is how the spell breaks. Jake took a notebook to a quiet park. No phone. No music. Just the notebook. He wrote one question at the top. What did comfort cost me? At first, the answers were simple. Years, energy, confidence. Then the answers became more painful. My own voice, my own judgment, my own direction. He kept writing. He wrote about old fears. He wrote about people he tried to impress. He wrote about teachers who praised obedience. He wrote about bosses who rewarded silence. He wrote about how proud he felt being manageable. Then he stopped writing and just stared. Manageable is not admirable. It is profitable for other people. That sentence hit him hard because it explains so much. Why he felt useful but not powerful. Why he felt busy but not free. Why he felt responsible but not respected. The clock does not stop for anyone. Your future self is watching what you decide right now. Jake looked around the park. Children were running near the grass. An old man walked a small brown dog. A woman drank coffee on a bench. Everything looked ordinary, but inside Jake, urgency had finally arrived. He understood something brutal then. There is no perfect time to wake up. There is only the moment you stop lying to yourself. That night, he stopped asking the old question. Am I doing this right? For years, that question controlled him. It sounds humble. It sounds responsible. But it hides submission. Doing this right for whom? According to what rule? Created by which interest? Serving whose future? Then, for the first time, Jake asked the honest question. Who benefits from this? That question changed the air. It changed how he saw work. It changed how he saw school. It changed how he saw money, status, and approval. Because once you ask who benefits, you stop treating systems like nature. You see design. The first honest question is not rebellion. It is the beginning of sight. Jake tested it everywhere. Why are degrees priced this way? Who benefits? Why are workers praised for loyalty, but leaders leave when numbers change? Who benefits? Why are people taught to save but not taught to own? Who benefits? Everywhere he looked, the question worked. Not perfectly, but enough. Enough to reveal patterns. Enough to break old hypnosis. You are not powerless. You are finally looking at the machine. That gave Jake relief. Strange relief. The world did not become softer. It became clearer. And clarity can feel like peace, even when the truth is hard. He was no longer asking permission. He was no longer begging the system for a grade. He was measuring incentives. He was reading behavior. He was studying outcomes. That is a different mind. Let me ask you something. How many of your choices are truly yours? How many came from fear, habit, and inherited rules? And what happens when you question all of them? Jake did not have every answer yet, but now he had a lens, a strong one, and in the next part, he will use it to learn what matters most, not in a classroom, not from a boss, from reality itself. Jake had a new question now. Who benefits from this? That question did not make him bitter. It made him alert. And alert people begin to learn differently. He stopped looking for comfort first. He started looking for truth first. That changed where he looked, and it changed what he could see. Real knowledge did not come from the places he trusted before. Not first. Not anymore. It came from friction. It came from observation. It came from seeing what the rules were hiding. The quiet education is not school. It is courage in practice. Jake still respected learning, but now he defined it differently. Learning was not passing tests. Learning was not repeating approved ideas. Learning was not sounding intelligent in safe rooms. Learning was seeing cause and effect clearly. He began small. He studied the people around him. The barber with his own chair. The woman selling flowers. The man repairing phones. He asked simple questions. How did you start? What was Nace hurt most? What would you never do again? The answers were never polished. That is why they mattered. These people spoke from contact, not theory. They spoke from loss, not slogans. Jake heard something new in their voices. Ownership, responsibility, direct consequence. One evening, he spoke with the phone repairman. His name was Chris. He rented a narrow shop near the train station. The ceiling light flickered. Old chargers filled one shelf. A fan turned slowly in the heat. Chris said, "School taught me how to obey clocks. Business taught me how people actually decide." Jake smiled at that. Then Chris added something sharper. "Customers do not pay for effort. They pay for value." That sentence stayed in Jake's mind for days. It sounded simple, but it cut deep. At his old job, Jake was paid for presence, for compliance, for fitting the system. In Chris's world, value was visible quickly. Useful or not useful. Clear or unclear. Solve the problem or lose the customer. This is the hard part. Reality is a stricter teacher than school, but it is also more honest. Jake started reading less to collect ideas. He read more to test ideas. He kept a notebook again. This time, every page had 2 columns. What people say. What reality rewards. That notebook became his private classroom. People say work hard and wait. Reality often rewards visibility, leverage, and timing. People say play it safe. Reality often punishes people who cannot adapt. People say follow passion. Reality asks whether passion solves a real need. Jake was not becoming cynical. He was becoming accurate. You are not late. You are finally in the real classroom. That thought gave him energy, because for the first time, learning felt connected to life. Not abstract life, his bills, his time, his choices, his future. He listened differently now, too. When someone gave advice, he no longer asked only, "Is this kind?" He asked, "What did this advice produce in their life? Did it create freedom? Did it build dependence? Did it grow courage? Did it reward blindness?" Stop for a moment. Think about your own life. Who taught you your biggest beliefs? And what did those beliefs build for them? Jake noticed that many people gave advice from fear. Stay where you are. Do not risk too much. Take the secure option. Be grateful. Be realistic. Those words sounded caring. Sometimes they were. But often they were just inherited fear in a softer voice. The quiet education teaches one brutal lesson. Good intentions do not guarantee useful guidance. Jake thought about his father then, a decent man, a tired man, a man who worked hard for years. His father believed loyalty was sacred. He believed steady work built dignity, and in one sense, he was right. Work can build dignity, but only if you keep your judgment. Jake saw the missing piece clearly now. His father had discipline, but he gave away direction. That was the difference, and Jake had done the same. Following the rules is not maturity. It is often fear with better manners. I know this is hard to hear, because many good people live that way. Many loving families teach that way. Many schools reward that way. That is what makes the trap feel normal. Jake began learning practical things next. He learned how to sell a simple service. He learned how to ask better questions. He learned how to read contracts slowly. He learned how to compare incentives. He learned how to notice where power sits. These were not glamorous lessons, but they were alive. He helped Chris at the repair shop one Saturday, just for free, just to watch. Customers walked in with cracked screens and dead batteries. Chris asked short questions, gave direct prices, managed expectations clearly. No corporate language, no fake smiles, just reality. Jake saw something important there. Freedom is not comfort. Freedom is direct contact with consequences. That can sound frightening, but it is cleaner. Cleaner than empty praise. Cleaner than polite deception. Cleaner than a system that thanks you while replacing you. Be honest with yourself right now. Do you want comfort or do you want clarity? Because most people cannot have both at first. Jake started changing his days. He woke earlier, not to impress anyone, to study before noise began. He wrote questions in the morning. He tested small ideas in the afternoon. He tracked what worked. He cut what failed. Slowly, he trusted his own observation more. That was the real education. Not information alone, judgment, the courage to look, the patience to test, the humility to adjust, and the strength to keep going without applause. Most people never reach this point. They want a new answer, but they keep the old mind. Jake was finally changing the mind itself. The truth is uncomfortable, but you need to hear it. You do not need more permission. You need more contact with reality. As the months passed, Jake became quieter in a new way, not obedient quiet, focused quiet, the kind of quiet that comes before construction. He was not trying to look successful anymore. He was trying to become useful on his own terms. And that changes a person, because once you stop outsourcing judgment, you begin to feel something rare, not confidence, something deeper, self-trust. Jake had not fully returned yet, but the old version of him was gone. The man who waited for approval was disappearing. In the next part, you will meet the man who woke up. And when he returns, he does not ask the system to bless his future. He builds it. You have come far. Stay with me. The last chapters are where this becomes real, because waking up means nothing if you still live by borrowed judgment. Jake did not build a new life in one dramatic week. He did not post big announcements. He did not try to look bold. He simply stopped asking the wrong people for direction. That was the return. Quiet, slow, real. He stopped calling every safe opinion wisdom. He stopped respecting confidence without results. He stopped treating institutions like parents. He stopped asking the system to tell him his value. And because of that, he became harder to control. The man who woke up is not loud. He is clear. Jake still lived in the same apartment. He still wore simple clothes. He still made coffee in the same kitchen. From the outside, little had changed. But inside, he was no longer available for the old lie. He began earning money in smaller, direct ways first. Nothing glamorous. He helped Chris with customer messages. He wrote simple sales pages for local shops. He organized appointments for a cleaning service. He learned what people would pay for. He learned where his effort created value. The first amounts were small, almost insulting, but they were different from wages. These were signals, proof that judgment could create income, proof that initiative could move reality. Jake no longer asked, "Is this respectable?" He asked, "Is this real? Does this help someone? Does this teach me leverage? Does this reduce dependence?" Those questions built a new man. You are not starting over. You are starting from truth. That matters, because many people think awakening means destruction. Burn the old life, run away, change everything at once. But Jake learned a better way. Keep what is useful. Drop what makes you weak. Build slowly with your eyes open. He sold old things he did not need. He cut expenses he kept for image. He canceled services he barely used. He wrote down every monthly cost. Then he asked the same question again. Who benefits from this? That question cleaned his life, not only his finances, his friendships too. Some people liked the old Jake better, the agreeable Jake, the easy Jake, the Jake who said yes quickly, the Jake who never challenged lazy thinking. When he changed, some relationships became tense, not because he was cruel, because he was no longer convenient. This is the hard part. When you stop outsourcing judgment, some people will call you selfish. What they often mean is this: you no longer obey without question. Jake saw that clearly with Daniel, an old co-worker. Daniel still worked at the company. They met for lunch one Friday. Daniel wore the same tired smile, same badge on his belt, same polite complaints. He asked Jake, "When are you getting a real job again?" Jake did not get angry. He simply asked, "What do you mean by real?" Daniel laughed. "You know, stable, normal, benefits, retirement." Jake looked at him calmly. Then he asked one question. "Do you feel secure there?" Daniel did not answer right away. He looked down at his food. That silence said enough. Jake understood something then. Many people defend the cage because they fear open space. I understand. Life is not easy. Freedom asks more from you. It asks attention. It asks responsibility. It asks that you stop hiding behind approved answers. That is why so many avoid it. But Jake could not go back now. He had seen too much. He had watched loyal workers get erased. He had counted the years comfort stole. He had tasted the clean feeling of direct learning. He had begun trusting his own eyes. That changes your walk. That changes your voice. That changes the way you listen to advice. He no longer admired people for titles alone. He admired clarity. He admired ownership. He admired people who could explain cause and effect. He admired people who took losses without excuses. He admired people who built with reality, not fantasy. The man who woke up did not need a new life. He needed to stop outsourcing his judgment to people who never cared about his future. That sentence gave him peace because it removed the final confusion. He was not broken. He was misled. He was not weak. He was trained to depend. And now he could train differently. Stop for a moment. Think about your own life. Where are you still borrowing judgment? Whose approval still controls your choices? Which rule do you obey without knowing why? Jake started protecting his attention next. Less noise, less news, less empty opinion, more direct experience, more books that explained incentives, more conversations with builders, more time alone with difficult questions. That silence became strength, not lonely silence, useful silence, the kind that lets truth rise. He was still imperfect, still learning, still making errors. But now mistakes taught him faster, because they were his mistakes. Not borrowed mistakes from a borrowed map. That is the return, not perfection. Ownership. Most people want certainty. Jake wanted sight. And sight is enough to begin. In the final part, we bring everything together. The rules, the years, the question, the quiet education, and the final truth you must carry with you if you do not want to spend your life standing still. Jake once believed rules were protection. Now he saw them clearly. Some rules are useful. Some rules are necessary. But many rules were never built to free you. They were built to organize you, to calm you, to slow you down. That was the final lesson. Not every structure is evil, but every structure must be questioned. Because systems have interests, institutions have incentives, and polite language often hides cold design. Jake understood his old life now. School taught him to perform. Work taught him to comply. Savings gave him a small cushion. But none of it taught him judgment. None of it taught him ownership. None of it taught him how power moves. So he stopped worshiping approval. He stopped confusing praise with progress. He stopped calling obedience discipline. And when he stopped, his mind became his own again. My friend, that is the real victory. Not more money alone, not status alone, not freedom as a fantasy. Freedom as judgment. Freedom as clear sight. Freedom as the courage to ask better questions. Jake still worked. He still planned. He still saved part of what he earned. He was not careless now. He was conscious. That is different. Very different. Conscious people still use systems. They just stop trusting them blindly. They read contracts. They study incentives. They build options. They protect time. They learn skills that travel. They keep judgment in their own hands. That is what changed in Jake. He no longer needed a perfect plan. He needed honest sight. Because honest sight lets you move. Even slowly, even imperfectly, even in fear. Be honest with yourself right now. What rule still controls your life? What story still keeps you passive? What safe habit is stealing years from you? The truth is uncomfortable, but you need to hear it. No teacher is coming back to explain it. No company is coming to protect your future. No institution wakes up each morning asking how to free you. That is your job. It always was. Nobody is coming to save you. This is not sad. This is freedom. Once Jake accepted that, his anger became energy. His confusion became direction. His fear became attention. He did not need to know everything. He only needed to stop surrendering his judgment. That is the one thing he wished he knew at 30. Not work harder. Not save more. Not impress the right people. He wished he knew this. The rules were not made to protect you. They were made to keep you still. And once you see that, you face a choice. Stay still and call it safety. Or start thinking and call it life. You are not a good student anymore. You are a waking mind. You are not here to fit quietly into broken systems. You are here to see clearly and choose carefully. You are here to become difficult to fool, difficult to rush, difficult to control. That does not require drama. It requires honesty, a notebook, a question, a little courage today, then a little more tomorrow. That is enough to begin. Let me ask you something. What would change this week if you stopped asking, "Am I doing this right?" and started asking, "Who benefits from this?" That single shift can reopen your life. Maybe you stay at your job for now. Fine, but stay awake. Maybe you save money for a new path. Good, but save with intention. Maybe you study new skills at night. Good, but study what creates leverage. Maybe you finally question the old map. Good. That is where truth begins. Do not wait for complete confidence. Do not wait for perfect timing. Do not wait until your spirit is fully numb. Every day you wait, the gap gets wider. The clock does not stop for anyone. So begin where you are. Question one rule. Cut one false expense. Learn one real skill. Start one honest conversation. Protect 1 hour of your attention. That is how self-trust grows. Quietly, day by day. And when people tell you to calm down, to be realistic, to stop asking difficult questions, listen carefully. Sometimes they are protecting you. Sometimes they are protecting the world that uses you. You must learn the difference. This is English Story Studio. If this story spoke to you, join this community today. Write in the comments one action you will take now, and subscribe if you want more English that changes your life. English Story Studio is for people who want truth, not comfort. For people who learn slowly, deeply, and honestly. For people who are done waiting for permission. Nobody's coming to save you. So stand up, look clearly, and begin.